Hello, welcome to Dan Ingwen Business Forum Talk Show. Today, it is my great pleasure and honor to have a very special guest, Mr. Pete Stewart. Mr. Stewart has been in commercial real estate industry for close to 5 decades, or 45 years, something to be exact. I'm very to have him today because I believe that Mr. Pete Stewart will bring his wisdom and knowledge to share with our audience who are business owners, shopping centers owners, and land owners. And today, hopefully, after the show, you will gain some knowledge of what you should do with your shopping centers to keep it maximum value. Welcome to the show, Mr. Pete Stewart, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Danny. It's a pleasure. I've known Danny for many years, and I'm honored to be here today, and I look forward to our conversation and hopefully some of the things that I share with you and your audience. As I always like to say, take what you like and leave the rest. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you, Pete. I appreciate for coming. I do have a problem of what we should share with our audience, because with your knowledge and wisdom and experience, I have a problem of what we should share with them and what we should hold back. So for the purpose of this talk show, I would like to focus on shopping centers owners. You have done a lot of commercial transactions, and you are very well known in the industries for representing quality tenants. You bring tenants to quality shopping centers. So would you please share with the audience, how long have you been in business and what type of transactions have you done? A few.
Danny, I actually started my career back in 1970. Quite frankly, I have not maintained a log of how many transactions I've done, but I've spent the majority of my time in the business either in the investment sales part, the buying or the acquisition and the sale of commercial properties.
Yes.
And I evolved from that into the retail aspect of the business, retail development and retail leasing, working with developers and developing a plan and executing that plan. And
yes, in commercial real estate, there are different disciplines or specialty, if you will. They have land, warehouse, industrial, and hotel. You specialize in retail shopping centers.
That's correct. Primarily in the retail aspect of the business.
Yes.
I have been involved and been involved in the sale of many commercial properties over the years.
Yes.
But my love, I guess, for the business is the retail side of the business, because it's very people oriented.
Yes.
It gives me an opportunity to build new relationships with prospective tenants and owners on a day-to-day basis, and I'm very motivated and very moved by the personal relationship aspect of the business.
Yes, I guess your strength, based on my observation, is that you understand the mentality of the business owners. You understand the tenants, so that you know what right location to bring them to create that match. So what make a good tenant for a shopping center?
Well, that's an excellent question, Danny. I think there are a number of things that I think go into making what makes a good tenant for a shopping center. I have a little format that I usually employ with people, and the first thing I want to know if it's a startup business versus an existing business that maybe has some history behind it.
Right.
The next thing I want to know, one thing I want to know is if it's a startup, I want to know a little bit about their financial background.
Yes.
How are they going to support this business? I want to know what kind of sales they expect to generate from this business.
Yes.
Because to me, sales per square foot in a shopping center are, it's the foundation, of that center. In other words, of the income stream, and sales per square foot, very, very important. And it's surprising how many tenants don't have a clue what their sales are per square foot.
Right.
Another thing I look for in a tenant is What is the purpose? If it's a startup, why are you getting into this business? Because it's the why and not the what is one of the things that I think that are important. Another thing I'll ask a tenant, quite frankly, many times people are taken back by some of my questions, especially people who are startups.
Yes,
and
yes.
And I find myself working today more with people who have some historical or trailing sales in place, which enables us to try to facilitate a transaction.
Right.
Because my opinion today, being a shopping center owner versus being a tenant, it becomes more of a partnership, Danny.
Yes.
Between the owner and the tenant, rather than the landlord-tenant relationship or the lessor-lessee relationship. Because you as a tenant and I as a landlord, we have to work together to achieve the best, not only for your business but also for my center. Because I'm interested in two things.
Yes.
Number one, that the rent is paid on time, and number two, that you're going to run the business you said you're going to run.
Right. So, not all tenants are the same, and especially when you have the privilege of representing the landlord who entrusts you with your judgment. So what you just have described seemed to me is like a qualifying process. Pre-qualifying a tenant. You want to make sure that it's not just a tenant, but it's a right mix. Is that a part of the tenant mix that you do?
Yes. As you know, Dan, and you and I go back a long time together, and I've enjoyed watching you grow and to prosper in your success. And as I've shared with you many times in the past, to me, my business and your business are about one thing. It's about personal relationships.
Yes.
And one of the things I look for on the front end of a deal is, will a tenant show up, or a prospective tenant show up? And I really look at these people as prospects initially, okay?
Right.
They're just prospects. And will they show up and come to the center and spend some time looking? Because I want to meet those people. I want to start to develop a relationship and get an idea.
Yes.
And I think that is so important at the front end of a deal, because people want to do business with people that they know, number one, and that they like.
Right. You have been doing business for 45 years. So obviously, Pete, you have interacted with a lot of business and tenants. So from experience, beside the on a piece of paper with the financial statements and business plans and all that, I mean, is there any judgment or intuition that you use to judge a tenant that you're about to bring into a shopping center?
Well, again, this goes back to the question, is this tenant, is this a startup?
Yes.
Or is it an established business?
Yes.
If it's a startup, I look at them in a whole different view.
Yes.
If it's an established business, I obviously are going to look at them in a whole different view. Okay.
Is that the same for all industries? I know that restaurant has a higher failure rate. So what is your criteria for judging different industries?
Well, first of all, the business plan obviously is important. Secondly, the management and the leadership in the company. I think those are very, very important pieces. Number three, are they offering a product and or a service that the consumer demands?
Yes, that you will need. Yes, that makes perfect sense.
Okay, not that somebody wants, but necessarily what somebody needs, what people need.
Right.
And so there are a number of other factors, but these are the little things, because it's the little things in the deal on the front end that are going to make the difference in the long run. Because remember, you as a tenant and I as a landlord, it's about a partnership now.
Yes.
Not about
Yes. I understand that, and it's like a win-win situation. They are all in the same boat, if you will. I mean, you pay your rent on time, you maintain the quality of services that the public need, and then the landlord maintain his shopping centers. So I mean, all that come in place to maximize the value that we're talking about.
Right. Well, I think when I say I think, my years of experience, and I'm constantly evolving and constantly changing as the market changes.
Yes.
And today things are moving so quickly with the amount of information that's thrown at us,
Yes.
As society, and our ability to take that information,
Yes,
disseminate it, and put it to good use. And when it comes to the retail aspect of the business, again, it goes back to a couple of basics, as we
Yes,
shared before.
Yes.
And looking at as a tenant, looking at it from
Yes,
a tenant's
yes,
perspective.
yes, yes.
Number one, location.
Yes.
Number two, accessibility. And number three, visibility. If I'm representing a tenant, and I've represented a number of major firms over the years and been, very, very blessed to have
Yes.
done a lot of major transactions. And I used to have that mantra, location, location, location. But today I look at location, visibility, accessibility, because you can have a great location,
Yes.
and if you can't see it or get to it, so I want those three boxes checked.
Right. You said over the years you've seen a lot of change. I could not agree with you more on that. Method change, but the principle maintained the same.
Right.
And I love that. What I'm fascinated with you is that sometimes that you cannot replace technologies and with experience. I want you to take us briefly back. You have been in business for 5 decades.
Right.
You have seen the transformation of this city. You saw Westheimer when it was still a
Dirt road.
dirt road. Tell me a little bit about how did you see the city transform over the past 5 decades?
Well, a combination of things. I think, number one, the foresight of a lot of forefathers in our city, the Gerald Hines interests, the Trammell
Yes.
Crows. These are well-known names.
Yes.
And the foresight that these people had that brought the success that the city is enjoying today and will enjoy, going into the future. And I
Yes.
use those two names. There are many, many, many others that, are forefathers. And what I've seen transpired, and it depends, transportation, just a very, very huge issue, in this city today, okay. It used to be dirt roads, small, narrow roadways. Today we have huge freeways, lots of congestion. We have actually small, what I call suburban cities that have popped up in
Yes,
Houston over
yes.
the years. You got Greenway, you have downtown, you have the medical center, you have the Galleria, you have Far West, you have Sugar Land, and we've got these suburban sub-cities that encompass this MSSA.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And the changes that have taken place are too many to mention here today. And
Are you happy with the growth?
I love the growth.
And how long have you lived in Houston?
I moved to Houston. I actually moved to Houston in 1950. I lived in Mexico City for about 6 months, and prior to that, I lived in Havana, Cuba for about 6 or 7 months.
Yes.
And my mom and my brother and myself, she brought us to Houston in 1950, and I graduated high school in Houston, went to Texas Tech University, graduated from Texas Tech in
Right.
1969.
Yes.
And entered the real estate business in 1969 here in Houston with an old firm, LaGuardia, Gavril and Bolin.
Yeah.
And I left LaGuardia, Gavril and Bolin and joined and helped open and establish the Henry S. Miller Companies
Yes.
in Houston.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, talking about Henry S. Miller commercial, I could not help but have to share with our audience that 21 years ago, when I first graduated from Texas A&M University and was exploring the commercial real estate industry, and it was, I have to admit, it was one of the difficult industry to break into. And I was very blessed to have Mr. Pete Stewart, who took me in, encouraged me, and that made a big difference in my career. And today I like to tell you that, it's not about being a broker, it's not about being a deal maker, but more than that, you have done something that had created an impact on a person's life. Looking back at that time, had you not taken me in, if you not mentor me or encourage me, it's may I may lead to a different path. I just want to show you my deep appreciation, Pete.
Thank you.
You are.
Thank you.
You are
Thank
the
you.
man. You are the man.
Thank you.
And with that mentality, I think people will appreciate it. It's not about being a broker, but because of our effort, we turn a vacant building, we bring tenants, we bring services and products into a dark building, and we bring tax revenues
Right.
to the city. We make a huge impact on the whole street. We create a new subdivision, and we create local government. So that's why I said government did not create people, but we create the government. So tell me, what are something that you are very proud of in your commercial real estate career? I'm not talking about the monetary aspect of it.
Well, I think the legacy that I've left, the relationships that I have developed with people over the years, and I have many, 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 many friends
Yes.
and personal relationships here in town that I'm welcomed.
Yes.
There's an open door always, as you know.
Yes. Yes.
And to me, that means everything, because I've reached a point in my life, and I've enjoyed a phenomenal amount of success in my business.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
and I've been blessed with a wonderful family and many, many, many friends. But I can truly say that I have reached a point in my life that the stewardship aspect
Yes. Yes.
of what I do today and being able to give back, and
Yes.
the pleasure that I get to see young people like yourself enjoy the success and enjoy the rewards and enjoy the fulfillment of the commercial real estate business. And you're a tribute, you're a blessing to me, quite frankly.
Thank you, Pete. I'm very grateful. After 21 years, I'm still enthusiastic. I'm still excited, making deal as if it was the first day. So how does it feel nowadays? How does it feel when you drive throughout the city and you saw that store, you saw that shop? Oh, because of your effort.
Right.
Because that store happened. Because of sometimes a little bit struggling trying to convince the landlord together to put a deal together. How does that feel?
Well, I'll tell you how I feel. I'm always looking where I can do the next deal with these folks.
Okay.
That's how I feel. I'm sort of forward thinking.
Yes, yes, yes.
Is there an opportunity?
Yes. Maybe sometimes I'm still lingering to the past success. When driving around, walking to that noodle shop, and the owner came out and said, "Hey, Danny," and give you a free bowl of noodle because of your effort.
Right.
But it gives you the satisfaction, even though it's a job.
Right.
But I mean the satisfaction behind it, which is very important. That's why we still have a few more minutes left. I don't think that we can complete this show meaningful, at least to my definition, if we don't share the blessing to the younger generations. There are several people, young professionals, there are several people out there. You might be thinking about going to commercial real estate someday. And because of the lack of guidance, motivation, and you might give up or never pursue your career. I believe that life is about receiving and giving. And may I ask you, with your fulfilling career, successful career in commercial real estate, what would you say to somebody who have a desire to go into commercial real estate?
Danny, I would say and this is these are some building blocks that I think would apply to anything anyone does in life. And I think the first, at least this is my feelings. I think number one, a person absolutely has to be motivated or have a burning desire to do something special in their lives. I think number one, and I can't look inside a man's heart and tell how motivated he is, but motivation is very, very important. Number two, I think a person needs, absolutely has to be a good person. And when I say a good person, do the right thing, not part of the time, but all the time. And there'll be times when one asks themselves, am I doing the right thing? Well, to me, that's a yellow flag. Maybe one needs to stop and seek wise counsel and visit with some folks and give some thought, look inside, check one's heart, one's spirit. Am I really doing the right thing? Will you do the right thing all the time? No. That's because who we are. We're human beings. I think number 3, very, very important piece of this puzzle is that I think, a man or a woman needs to have, a goal or an objective. And with that goal and objective, number 4, one needs to have, for lack of a better word, a game plan to achieve that goal or that objective. Number 5, very, very important piece of this is that one needs to execute that plan and be in a position to make changes where necessary. Because as you move forward in the execution part of your plan,
yes,
you're going to find that maybe it's not working quite the way you want it to work. So you've got to have the flexibility and not be afraid or have fear that you're going to fail. To me, failure is just not an option. Fear is a lack of knowledge. You can overcome fear by learning. You can overcome fear by having faith, not only from a spiritual standpoint, but also, in the people that you surround yourselves with. And then, I think those building blocks are all great, but I think the final one, number 6, don't ever quit. Never quit. Again, not an option. You never quit, because you never know when you may be just one no away from a yes. Does that make any sense?
I love it. May I call that Pete Stewart recipe of success for new commercial real estate?
Thank you.
I can validate that, if I may, or I can. You mentioned desire. That is what I took with me 21 years ago. It's just the burning desire. A lot of people came to me. They focus on the monetary aspect of it. How much do you make in a transaction? They seem to be attracted to the industry because of the big check that you got.
Right.
I tell the truth. I'm not apologizing for it, but looking at the check is sometimes it's like beyond imagination. I look back, with our humble beginning. I look at that check. Some person can make a lifetime or a year of salary. Sometimes I feel guilty.
Right.
But the point I'm trying to make is that the monetary come after the desire to bring value to people. I love to see, coming from a communist country where we do not have the free enterprise. We don't have the freedom to own properties. And we don't have the freedom to speak our mind. So I want to use that passion to help people to open business. So every time that seeing a new business open because of your effort, it's given me such a deep satisfaction. And it's not easy, is it?
No.
It was possible, but was it easy? No. And you mentioned not giving up. Deal fell apart. But because of that lack, if you lack of that burning desire,
right, and
then people just quit like that.
And see, I think your point is well made, Danny, that the desire in one's life will measure, quite frankly, it will measure how far you'll move forward in your life.
Yes.
And the deeper that desire and that deep motivation that one has, and I can't look inside your heart, Danny, or anyone else's heart and see how motivated you are. Only you know that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that in itself, I think, without that, it's difficult, very, very difficult to move forward.
Yes. Well, I'm very happy with all your blessings, and especially with a beautiful wife, Miss Betty.
Thank you.
And
daughters.
2 beautiful daughters.
3 grandbabies now.
3 grandbabies.
Thank the Lord.
Yes, yes. Enjoy your blessing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being part of my life.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being in this show. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for watching our talk show today. After you will receive a few nuggets of wisdom from our distinguished guest today, Mr. Pete Stewart. Cảm ơn quý vị đã theo dõi chương trình Diễn đàn Kinh doanh với Danny Nguyễn Quốc Đoàn. Hy vọng qua chương trình này, quý vị sẽ có một cái vài khái niệm về sự nghiệp, về lĩnh vực commercial real estate, và hy vọng các bạn muốn vô ngành bất động sản sẽ cảm thấy hứng thú hơn và sẽ chọn cái ngành này là một cái career cho mình. Và tất cả những quý vị chủ nhân của các cơ sở thương mại shopping center sẽ học được một vài kinh nghiệm của ông Pete Stewart để làm cho cái shopping center của mình có giá trị thêm. Xin cảm ơn.